Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a really core concept in Forex trading, something that directly affects how your orders get handled. It's called A-booking. We're going to break down exactly what it is and how brokers use it to manage their risk. So let's just kick things off with the big one, a question I'm sure has crossed your mind. When you place a trade, is your broker secretly betting against you? To get to the bottom of that, we first have to understand this kind of fundamental dilemma that's right at the heart of the relationship between a trader and a broker.
And this gets us to a challenge that every single Forex broker has to deal with. It's this natural conflict of interest that's, just built right into the system. And it all boils down to a simple question. Who is on the other side of your trade?
Well, here's the thing. Your Forex broker is always your counterparty. That sounds a little technical, but it's actually super simple. When you click that buy button, it's your broker who's selling to you. And when you decide to sell, guess what? They're the ones buying from you. They are always on the opposite side of your transaction.
And that relationship has some pretty direct consequences. I mean, look at this. If you buy a currency pair and the price goes up, hey, you make a profit. But since the broker was the one who sold it to you, they are now facing a loss of the exact same size. Your win is, quite literally, their loss.
So that really tees up the big problem, doesn't it? If a broker just happens to have a bunch of really successful traders as clients, they could, in theory, go completely broke. So you gotta ask, how do they manage this massive risk?
Well, lucky for them, there's a pretty clever solution to this whole problem. Turns out, the broker doesn't actually have to hold on to all that risk. They can just pass it along to someone else.
Okay, so picture this. The broker is holding this hot potato we'll call market risk. Instead of getting burned, they can find somebody else who's willing to take it off their hands. This whole process of transferring risk, we call it offloading, or, the more common term in finance is hedging. And that specific method of taking on a client's trade and then immediately hedging it with someone else, well, it has a name. It's called A-book execution, and that's the key idea we're really unpacking here today. So let's actually trace the path of a single trade. Let's follow it from start to finish, step by step, to see who's really involved and what's actually happening behind the curtain.
Now, to make all this work, we have to bring another player into the game. See, it's not just you and your broker. There's a third and absolutely crucial player involved, the liquidity provider.
So who are these liquidity providers, or LPs anyway? Well, the easiest way to think of them is as the big wholesalers of the financial markets. We're talking about huge institutions, major banks, hedge funds, and their whole job is to be ready to buy or sell massive amounts at any given time. They're the ones the broker turns to when they need to hedge.
Okay, now this next part is super important because it's a huge misconception. A lot of people think the broker just takes your trade and kind of passes it along to the LP, like they're just a middleman. But that is not what's happening at all.
So here's the key takeaway. We are talking about two totally separate transactions. First, the broker takes the other side of your trade. That's deal number one. Then, to protect themselves, the broker opens a second, identical trade, but in the opposite direction with their liquidity provider. That's deal number two. Two separate trades.
All right, so that's the theory. But let's get practical. Let's actually follow the money and see how this risk neutralizing thing really works. We'll use a real-world example to see how these two separate trades just perfectly cancel each other out.
Okay, let's meet our trader. We'll call her Elsa. She decides she's bullish on the euro, so she buys a pretty hefty position, 3 million USD UR/USD. Now, because her broker is her counterparty, that automatically means the broker is now short 3 million USD USR/USD. They're exposed. And here's the magic move. To get rid of that risky short exposure, the broker instantly goes to a liquidity provider and buys the exact same amount, 3 million USD Euro USD. Now look at the broker's books. They're perfectly balanced. They have a short position against Elsa and an identical long position with the LP. The two just cancel each other out.
So let's play this out. Scenario 1. The price of Euro USD goes up. Great for Elsa, right? She's making money. That means her broker is losing money to her. But wait, remember that other trade they made? Their long position with the LP is now in profit by the exact same amount. So the money they lose to Elsa is completely covered by the money they make from the LP.
Okay, now what if the market goes the other way? Price falls. Now Elsa's trade is in the red, which means the broker is making a profit from her. But their long position with the LP is now losing that exact same amount, so the profit they make from ELSA gets completely wiped out by the loss they take on their hedge trade.
So in either case, price goes up, price goes down, what's the final result for the broker's profit and loss on the trade itself? Look at that. It's a big fat zero. It doesn't matter if ELSA wins or loses, the outcome of her trade has zero impact on the broker's bottom line. And that is the whole point of this A-book strategy. By doing this, the broker has made themselves completely neutral to what the market does. They don't care if you win or you lose, because their profit and loss from the market movement itself is always going to be zero. The risk is completely hedged away.
Now that is a pretty neat, perfectly balanced system, right? But wait a minute. This whole thing raises a new and very obvious question. If they've hedged away all of their risk, well, they've also hedged away all of their potential profit from the trade.
And that, my friends, is the final and maybe the most important piece of the puzzle. We've just shown that in this A-book model, the broker is not betting against you. They've made their risk zero. So if they make $0 whether you win or you lose, what's the incentive? How on earth are they making any money at all?